What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Little Scale Cars YouTube channel. Today, in the review box, we have the all-new Koenigsegg CCGT. Now, this is from a weird little brand that there's not a whole lot out there called Autobots Models, or just Autobots Models sometimes they're referred to. Not really sure what the story is there, but what we do know is that they have released these absolutely beautiful Koenigsegg CCGTs in 1/64th, so let's take a closer look at them and see if they are worth adding to your collections. Let's get things started by looking at our casting here. So just looking at it proportionally speaking, very happy to say that it is quite good and looks very nice. Definitely in that 1/64 scale. Nothing really looking bad or out of proportion right there. Go ahead and kind of compare it to the real-life car a little bit there. And you can see it is quite good and looks very, very nice in my opinion. So let's go ahead and break the casting down here. So everything you're going to see painted on this one in orange, that is going to be a die-cast metal piece. Everything that you're going to see down here at the base, this is also die-cast. So we have a lot of metal incorporated into this one. Your base does swoop out into this kind of diffuser section here. And then it also kind of incorporates the splitter up front. But everything else other than that is kind of in your main body section. Now, one thing I should note is that this section does come off. And we do have a plastic spoiler, rear wing, whatever you want to call it back there. And then you do have your plastic engine bay fully detailed out there. And then you also have this intake thing being plastic as well. Mirrors are plastic as well. That's not really surprising. This section up here is painted. It's not a piece of the window. As far as I can tell, that's actually how that is in the real-life car. So that is actually probably a really nice attention to detail bit. As far as our body lines go, this is going to be casted in and then just painted to look like that. And then you got some nice cutouts here with some meshing behind them. When you put this piece back on, you get the same story. The cutouts there meshing quite nicely together. As far as accuracy to the car goes, I would say the casting has done a very nice job overall. When it comes down to paint and deco, you'll see that I've picked up two different versions. So I got the white one and the orange one. Now, upon this initial wave, there was also a lime green one that had orange accents. Thought that one was kind of ugly, so I didn't get it. Talking about the orange one here first, though, you got this really nice kind of poppin' orange. Looks great. And then it's kind of just the ever so smallest hint of metal flake in there. It looks really good in my opinion. And then we have the big one over here. This one, whoopsies, is actually been given a small livery of sorts. And now, while this is not the most well-known deco that the CCGT has rocked, this is an actual livery that the car has actually been seen in. So that is pretty cool. I think there's only one of these in the real world anyway, but this is a livery that it has been given at one point. It's got the Koenigsegg on the rear wing there. Very, very nice in my opinion. That's the one to get. There is a second wave on the way, which has another white version. It's not a real deco that I have ever seen the car in, and it's just kind of got like a racing livery on it. Then there is another one kind of reminiscent to this, but just in plain red. And then there is just a plain purple on the way as well. Moving into the details. So let's get started up front here. So up front, we do have our two little plastic inserts for the headlights. There's actually like carbon fiber back behind that lens. So that looks amazing. We do get the Koenigsegg logo right there. You get CCGT across the front here. These little insert thingies are actually got like things behind them, so they look really good. Again, meshing back here, you got carbon fiber decaling on the entire splitter section, which looks amazing. Koenigsegg going across the front here. No windshield wiper on this one because I accidentally broke it off. Didn't even realize I did that, but this one does have it. This one I can probably glue back on pretty easily. Now, coming down to the sides here, we do have the wheels here, and they have braking systems behind them, calipers and rotors looking good. And then accurate wheels as well with tire printing. So that is a very, very nice. Now, I should say that this one does not have the tire printing. You got the 30 on the car there looking good. You get little driver's names up here by the gas tank there looking amazing. Again, just very nice meshing behind where this kind of vent would be. Looking really good. Coming into the rear here, again, just beautiful details with the meshing and stuff. Exhaust poking out, looking really good. You got little extra reflectors back here. Actual plastic inserts for the taillights, which look really good. And then carbon fiber on the roof scoop intake thingy. And when we take that off, you can see a beautifully detailed engine with, you know, quite a bit of pieces in there, which really create a nice look. You can see all the little suspension components and stuff in there too. Yeah, very, very nice on the detailing as a whole. Moving into our roll test, as I'm sure most of you don't have an Autobots model 1/64th, and that's a bit of a bummer. We do not roll. The orange one also does not roll. Now, you can force the wheels to spin, so like they can physically spin, but I'm actually doing a terrible job of showing you that. But yeah, the wheels can actually spin if you force them to, but they are tight and they really don't want to do that. So be careful if you absolutely must see them roll. They're definitely not going to freewheel on their own though. Putting these ones on the scale, they come out to be 45.37 grams, so they are pretty heavy as far as a premium model goes, but nothing crazy. Pros and cons, getting started with the pros. The biggest pro is going to be that this is the first and so far the only Koenigsegg CCGT ever done in 1/64th scale, so that is always a big plus when there is finally some good representation of a car, that especially a car this old, getting done in 1/64th scale. The other big pro is going to be that detail, the excellent level of details, the engine bay that opens up without a nasty seam. Yeah, I think the detailing is very nice on this one. For the cons, though, there are a couple that should be addressed, and the biggest one is going to be the wheels. So the wheels, as you can kind of see, are just kind of recessed into their fenders, I guess, into the wheel wells. So they're not coming in, they're not sitting flush where they're supposed to be. So that is a little bit of a bummer. And that is definitely the biggest con with this release, is that those wheels are just not quite right. The other big kind of con is going to be that this is not a fully licensed model. There is no official licensing whatsoever from Koenigsegg, which is a bummer. And then also it's a little bit fragile. So I'm not going to actually include that as a con, but it is something that should be noted, especially that windshield wiper. It is just held on with the teeniest, tiniest drop of glue. For some quick size comparisons, here we have it with some other Koenigsegg models from more budget-friendly brands, with the Matchbox Koenigsegg Gemera and the Hot Wheels Koenigsegg Jesko. And here we have it with some other premium Koenigsegg's that you might have, with the Tarmac Works Koenigsegg Agera RS over there on the left, and the LMLF model Koenigsegg 1-1 over here on the right. So let's find some overall opinions here. The hype level. I would say that it was pretty hyped when it first kind of was up for pre-orders. And then it sold out relatively quick, but I think you can still get all three versions of it. I think there was kind of like a second wave of them almost or something. But yeah, decent levels of hype, nothing off the charts though. Not quite to the level I expected it to be. Value, these cost $27. That's how much I got them for, at least. I've seen them a little more, seen them a little less. But I'd say that's a pretty decent value overall, especially with the level of details factored in. Community feedback, it's been good, but there has been a heavy number of complaints about the wheels, and then obviously there's a good chunk of people that don't like it because it can't roll. Again, that's probably something down to the wheels. Not really sure what happened there. So when we take these all into account here, I think the wheels being kind of like recessed or pushed back, not really flush where they're supposed to be, definitely puts a bit of a damper on an otherwise absolutely beautiful stunner of a model. These things would be perfect without those wheels, I think. Seriously, the wheels just being pushed back just that little bit is such a bummer. Still, though, it's the only Koenigsegg CCGT out there in 1/64 scale, so these are really your only option if you want this car. That being said, though, I do highly recommend them still. Even with the recessed wheels, they're really not that bad and not that terrible, especially when they're sitting on your shelf in the display case that I have, where they just kind of sit like that. Like, you can barely tell. So I still would highly recommend them. I still am a big fan of them. And they are your only options if you want this car at the moment. So I still would recommend them for all of those reasons. And there we have it, guys. That is the Koenigsegg CCGT from Autobots Models in 1/64 scale. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more of this in the future, and make sure you comment and tell me what your thoughts are on this particular model, guys, and I will see you in the next video.